Hey everyone, this is Butterfly Poet pushing into and through Embryo Day 1. The call this morning was beautiful. So right now, I'm just waking up from a long nap. I've been resting all day. Please excuse me. I am a little sore. I've got some discomforts. I've got some strange sensations, some weird cramping, and more discomforts coming about with this progesterone insert. So I'm flowing through it. It's all worth it, of course. I'm not complaining. I have a lot to be grateful for, thankful for, and excited about. So I came into the kitchen hoping to quickly fix myself something to eat. I've been avoiding cooking. I ordered pizza yesterday, but I want to be careful of my nutritional intake. I don't want to take things for granted because I still want to be on point with things. So I'm going to have a salad, and I'm going to have some Korean barbecue steak. I'm sorry, Korean barbecue short ribs. Yeah. So they should only take about 10 minutes to cook on the griddle. And I'm going to enjoy a nice spring salad. So I was asked a few questions that I'm sure other people are wondering about, which is how I chose my donor. I thought I covered it before, but maybe just a little bit. So essentially, I went to 4 different websites: California Cryobank, Midwest Sperm Bank, Fairfax Sperm Bank, and Seattle Sperm Bank. And I chose to go with Seattle Sperm Bank. They offered the best exhaustive profiles for less money and for a cheaper registration cost. There are donor vials that end up being $1,000 by the time you purchase one vial. Depending on your cycle, depending on what you need, depending on if you've chosen IUI or IVF, you may need more than one vial. So if you're doing IVF, that donor may only have so many IVF vials, and that donor may only have so many IUI vials. And there's 4 different kinds. There's ART, and then there's ART IUI, and then there's IVF, and then ART IVF. So there's a difference between washed and unwashed. Some facilities are going to receive your vial and wash it anyway, and some procedures need more sperm content in that vial. So all of those measurements play a part in that. So I had went through several of the the profiles, and at one point I had to wait for my genetic testing to come back. I'm gonna keep on moving because I need to go lay down. When I selected, you could choose Jewish heritage or non-Jewish background. Jewish heritage background. You have the choice of picking certain races. You have the choice of picking racial backgrounds, cultural backgrounds. You have specifics like, I want someone with red hair, I want someone with blue eyes. You can be as specific as you want as what they offer in these drop down windows. There aren't very many African American donors, period. My personal choice was to have a multicultural baby, a specific cultural background in mind, and a certain specific background absolutely not. So you don't always have the privilege or the choice of being so specific, because once my genetic testing came back, it showed that I am a carrier of Wilson's disease, and I am also a carrier of polycystic kidney disease. One is how my body processes copper, and the other is a tendency for kidney shutdown or something or another. I don't know if I'm repeating the same one, but those are the two. Feel free to Google those: polycystic kidney disease and Wilson's disease. I am a carrier of both of these. It is essential that the donor is not also a carrier. I had to input that information in the drop window. I am also CMV positive. That is another part of the testing that you have to get done, a screening that you have to get done. And I had to select someone. If I was negative, I had to select someone who was CMV negative. But I'm CMV positive, which means I can select someone who is negative or positive. So CMV positive. So it's okay if I chose someone positive or negative. Another part that plays a role in selecting a donor is to go through the backgrounds of the health of their parents and grandparents. My profile, and this is what I loved about Seattle Sperm Bank, they offer an extended medical background for maternal and fraternal grandparents. My donor's family has lived past 80 and 90 on both sides. My donor also has a family trait of education. His grandparents have college degrees. He's young. He's about 23, I believe. He is a very intellectual individual, but also a free-spirited individual. I got his Kiersey personality profile, which is absolutely the bomb. I mean, the descriptions that they give are phenomenal, and they break it down in forms of personality. And I don't have it in front of me, but to see what type of person he is according to a test, that was great. My search, including my preferences and including the mandatory exclusions, landed me with 7 options. Just 7 options. Of those 7 options, 2 donor profiles stuck out, and I let those be my top 2. So I was satisfied with one or the other if one or the other had not had any vials available by the time I was ready to purchase. Sure enough, by the time I was ready to purchase my vial, one donor had no vials specifically for what I needed, which is ART IVF. I needed the vial that had the most sperm, and ART is that one. My facility would wash it, but I needed the one that had the most sperm in it. Once you wash it, you kind of lose a few. So yeah. So between the two, I lost the first one because he sold out. He was what they said was a very popular and great donor, but they also highly complimented the one I did choose, and he is the one that I went with, and I'm very satisfied. He is of a descent that has very rich cultural, familial rituals. It is very important to me that I understand the racial background and the cultural background of my future child so that I can share that with them when they are older, be it going to that country, be it exploring the culture itself, and having an enriching experience with my kids. So I very much look forward to that. And that means we will either be visiting Italy or Hungary. My daughter is of Hungarian and Italian descent. So things are very sensitive, very intense nowadays when it comes to race issues, when it comes to prejudice. And I just wanted to be able to explain to my child where they come from, what their background is. I wanted to be able to share with them in their culture something that I could appreciate and understand, something that I was comfortable with. If I were to be honest, if I were to just say it, what my true feelings were about selecting a donor is that I wasn't completely comfortable with selecting a racial background or a non-distinct racial background that I felt I would say to my child, half of you doesn't like all of me. And that just kept repeating in my head. I don't see color first. I only see color after I realize that I'm being mistreated or that I'm being profiled. And again, the current racial climate is not that of comfort between blacks and whites, between blacks and Caucasians. And though my child will have a generally Caucasian background, I was more comfortable in selecting the specific culture of Italian because it's one that is, I feel, that is closer to something that I identify with, that I can relate to, and that is tangible in a specific place to pinpoint and visit and relate to in such a way. So without any further justification of my choice, my point is that there are very many people, there's so many people who are willing to give and who are willing to share their DNA to help provide someone with the opportunity to have children. My donor had an essay that he submitted on why he wanted to be a donor. It was a very loving, very generous, very unbiased way of sharing his way of contributing to the world, and that really won me over. I have lived in Japan as an exchange student. I have traveled a bit. I want to travel a lot more. I went to a predominantly Caucasian and Asian high school. I have been exposed to very many cultures, and I also want that for my child. There is a very low option for people to choose from, women to choose from African American donors. I understand why there's such a limit, but sometimes you just have to go with what's available. So I chose what I chose because that's what I wanted. Simple as that.